All right, we got ourselves a Technodrome, ladies and gentlemen. This is about 22 inches wide by about 12 inches tall, 12 inches deep. I wanted to make a Technodrome because obviously a while back I made a sewer. I'm gonna put the link on the screen right there. And I've been having a lot of fun collecting these NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, the cartoon versions. Even though they're not always easy to find, I'm lucky that I have some people who are willing to help me out if they see them, and I've actually had pretty decent luck myself in actually being able to like keep up with the line. So all that aside, I wanted some place to display the villains, because the heroes, you know, the turtles get their little sewer and everything else, and I wanted something kind of cool from the show that I think that the villains would like. So basically, I just made a little Technodrome that is kind of in my own direction, but it's also pretty similar to what you would have seen on the old cartoon. I got a lot of different little panels and pipes and different things, wires, and a little computer monitor over there that I'll show you. But yeah, basically this is all the same insulation foam I use for pretty much everything. With there's like some toothpicks, I think, in like these wires here. Then there's like smaller dowel rods that I use for the wires on that back wall that you see there. Yeah, let's get a little bit more detailed look. So this is like the side wall here. I put a big vent on the top just to give it a little bit more depth, and that's like the plastic knitting grid that I use for like a lot of these types of things. These little like panel things on the wall are actually like the really thin sheets of foam that you can buy. Now I went with a little different approach to these. Typically I'll cut them out, I'll size them up, and then I'll paint them and put them on the diorama, or in some cases just put them on first and then paint the whole thing. But this I went with a different approach. Now the reason being is because of the animated aesthetic, I guess, of the NECA TMNT line, I wanted the Technodrome itself to look kind of animated too. So I actually, maybe you'll be able to see this, I hope. Alright, so I know from this angle you can see Vader back there, but I actually spray painted the entire black piece of foam first, and then I cut out the shapes. That way you could see black hard outlines on the inside from where I actually cut it, you know, because black was obviously the color that it was to begin with. And that leaves like a really cool like outline, animated looking aesthetic, I think. And I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it really worked out well. I did that with pretty much everything, although there is some unevenness in the spray paint, as you can see. You know, you live and you learn, I guess. That's kind of my first attempt at this. Before I get too far away from this wall, that is like a little storage container that I just added, obviously silver paint, but there's a couple little things on the inside there too. What's cool about that is I cut it out in the back, so you can take a light like this. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, if you're displaying, if you want a light in the background, go right ahead, put that on. April O'Neil's watching the Statue of Liberty, and for some reason Splinter's down there too. I don't know, I can't figure that out, but yeah. So moving on, there's a little panel thing up at the top with, like I said, those dowels and everything else. These are just more custom, you know, I didn't really have a huge plan in mind when I was cutting these out. I didn't have particular shapes, I just kind of cut things that looked kind of techy and sci-fi and things that I thought would look pretty cool. And I did try and like differentiate with the shades of like silver and gray and everything, so it's obviously a very light gray on the main part of the wall. It's a bright silver metallic color on the panels, and then the floor is actually a dark, like just kind of a flat gray. Now what I did notice though, unfortunately, is because I've had figures on here for a little while, the figures leave almost like a residue on the floor. So I might have to, I'm thinking I might actually use some of that thin foam and cut it to shape and see if that works a little better so it doesn't leave that little like indentation and residue and stuff. I don't know, I'll work it out. But yeah, there's also like some of these custom do-it-yourself straw components. Actually, no, that's not what this is. This is actually more of the foam that I just wrapped around there. Yeah, just different bits of technology and circuitry and vents. And we're gonna lead over here into the opposite side wall. Now this, I want it to be like the trans-dimensional portal where you always see like Krang bringing in his boys from Dimension X and stuff. And you could obviously just pretty much put whatever you want on that side of the portal. And, you know, you'd have Shredder or Krang or whoever just talking to basically whatever you want to put on the other side. So since we just saw him on the other side of the diorama, let's say they wanted to bring in Vader and have him, you know, just show up from Dimension X, fight the Turtles, you could do that. So you'll see what I ended up doing was actually building like a small offshoot little rock, like volcanic, not really volcanic, but just like stone environment And I think that's very reminiscent of like kind of Dimension X on the show. And it's only a couple inches wide because, like I said, the whole point of it was to fit on a shelf like that. So when you have both pieces, and yeah, there's Vader again supporting that wall. But when you have both pieces put together like this, it measures out across about 28 inches, which is exactly what I needed to fill that shelf. So basically, as I come back around this way, my idea, like I mentioned, was to be able to have Shredder and Krang talking to their boys over in Dimension X. And, you know, if you happen to be looking at the diorama from this angle, they're looking in, talking to Shredder and them in the Technodrome. It's, I mean, not much space really to do anything in here, but it's basically just to fill out the shelving. But yeah, let's get some figures in here and see how everything looks. And here you can kind of get a sense of the scale. We got kind of the main bad guys. I went with some smaller ones like the Roadkill Rodneys, a more average size character like Shredder, and obviously Krang in his android body. And you can kind of see with Shredder being kind of the most relatively normal size figure out of these. The transdimensional portal opening is pretty large for him. He is about eye level with this computer terminal. Maybe it's a little up high, but that's honestly, I don't mind that aesthetic. I think it's cool. And yeah, so overall, I think they look great in here. Again, I try to preserve that animated aesthetic on like the walls and the paneling and everything else to kind of match in, and you can kind of see now a little better that the black thick outlines on the panels, they match up pretty well with like the black outlines on Krang and on Shredder and everybody else. So overall, I'm very happy with how this came out. I always wanted to, I don't know, just display these turtle bad guys as soon as I started buying them, and it's nice to have the option now. So there we have it in all its glory on the shelf. You got Trag and Granitor back there doing their thing in Dimension X, having a conference with Krang, and everything going wrong over here in the Technodrome. I figured maybe these foot soldiers were trying to, like, I don't know, work on Metalhead or something, and Metalhead just started freaking out and basically annihilating them. Like, you got this guy getting like drilled in half up there. This guy, you know, looks like he got maybe a little too close, got his stomach drilled open. Bebop getting knocked down, and Rocksteady like scared of him. And Shredder over here is honestly probably just annoyed at the incompetence of this whole situation. So if you pull back, I actually got my sewer down there too. And I got a little bit of a fight scene going in there with the first released Turtles and Casey going up against Slash and Leatherhead. I like this set. I think that the two of them together make a nice little display there, if you ignore like the mess and the closet door and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that Technodrome turned out. I like these kind of shelf-wide display diorama pieces I've been making. Down there I got the Mirage Turtles, and I do plan on doing something with them as far as the display goes. I don't know exactly what yet. And then down here, I think I've showed this before on a previous video, but it's just like a smaller sewer display with the other versions of the Turtles that are out, and Splinter and April in there, and it's kind of dark, so I'm not going to dwell too much on that right now. But yeah, what's going up there, I hear you ask? Well, I do have the Turtles in Disguise set, and obviously these Triceratons and a couple other characters that don't really have a proper home like these guys do. So I want to do a display that kind of incorporates them, but I got an idea, but I don't have any progress yet. So thank you for watching this Technodrome display showcase, diorama, exhibition, I guess, whatever you want to call it. My name is Captain McKay. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, but I seldom use it. Most importantly of all though, I'm here on YouTube, so I don't know, watch some videos, have some fun, kill some time, show all your family. Alright, later on.